In the B2B space, obviously, there's a lot of like different sub niches. So we look at all of them, the best performing videos, recent outliers, and see, okay, how they package the videos. And this is, for example, the strategy that we use with Adam's, like two recent like outlier videos that we did, 20K, one of them, over 30K, the other one. Yeah, in terms of the scripting, yeah, with the hook, what's really important with B2B especially is to keep it short and just like to the point. Apart from that, just really explaining what people can expect from the video and the value they will get out of it. So either speaking to their pain points or their desires, so they actually keep watching. That's the other pillar of it. One of the best performing videos. This exact title and thumbnail format worked very, very well for other channels in the B2B space and has been the cause of some of their biggest outlier videos. Most of the buyers are not scrolling YouTube Shorts, or not scrolling Instagram Reels or TikTok. Most of the buyers are searching up Google, looking at YouTube, on LinkedIn, etc. So like for the B2B avatar, most of the time, you're just a lot better off like spending your efforts, your resources, your time on actual long form content. If you just actually sit down and have all your resources, or your team or your agency or whoever you work with focus on, let's say, one video per week, that's like the best starting point that we found, because then you can go all in on that, really just make sure the plan is right, the strategy is right, you're putting the most value into those videos. And that's what we found is just the fastest way to scale is just start with 4 videos per month and scale from there.
Everyone, welcome back to the show. Today's guest is the man responsible for Adam's booming YouTube channel. He helps coaches, agencies, and SaaS companies get their dream clients from YouTube and helps them run it on autopilot. He is also the editor, the new editor as of a couple months ago, of this show, Unfuck My Startup. So if you watch this show recorded on YouTube, you see those sweet intros. He is the man responsible for that. Today's guest is Samu Kovacs. Samu, welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Well, we're excited to get into it. Adam, what are 3 things everyone will learn if they stick around until the end of the show today?
If you stick around till the end of the show, you'll get a before and after look at our YouTube analytics showing the exact moment that traction shifted from hundreds to tens of thousands of viewers. Number 2, you'll learn the scripting and repurposing system that allows us to generate high intent leads while spending only 60 minutes a week on camera. And number 3, you'll see how we identified and chase hit videos from other creators to guarantee our content has built-in demand before we even hit record.
Amazing. All right. And folks, next week we are going to get back to the pitch slap. I know we've just based on the guests and stuff, we've sort of fallen off. So audience, if you want to come up here next week and beyond and pitch your business, your services, your software to the audience here and book demos with them, we have 116 people live right now. The record number of demos is 38. We filled up their month, which was awesome. Email producer@rbnb.com. Email it today too. I'll kind of get back to you and sift through and everything. And we'd love to have you on and see you next week. But let's jump into it. I guess, Samu, before we start, or I guess to start, can you tell everyone exactly what you do, how you help people, kind of what your services are all about?
Yeah, sure thing. So what we are is easiest to explain is we are a fully done for YouTube agency. We specialize in the B2B and SaaS space. So out of the 30 plus clients that we work with, almost all of them are in the B2B space. And what we do is we really just obsessed over helping these companies just handle YouTube A to Z. So we help our clients with everything from starting from the strategy and just creating the entire video ideas, the strategy, what we'll actually execute, to then handling each part of the process when it comes to scripting, editing, thumbnails, SEO, scheduling the videos, and then also helping them distribute it. So kind of giving them an all-around solution. And with the focus, that's a very important part, with the focus of actually generating leads and making a business impact, not trying to make these personal brands or companies famous, but rather just attracting their ideal audience and making it an actual reliable channel for their business. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we specialize in.
Amazing. So I think a great place to start. Let's dive into the before picture of this YouTube channel. So I think this is common with a lot of creators, no matter the platform that they're or the medium by which they're trying to gain traction. The beginning processes of creating any kind of content are sluggish, time consuming. Usually you don't create great content No one watches it. Even if it was great, it's like just hard to gain traction. So I want to talk kind of, in the beginning. I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering, right? Going from about 200 views a video. I saw one recently that had like over 30,000. When you first kind of engaged with Adam and this team, what was like the first red flag you saw on his channel or with his content, specifically on YouTube, that was holding him back? Obviously, he has a big LinkedIn audience, so there's traction within content and a known persona, but there was a gap between the YouTube getting traction. So I guess, yeah, what were the sort of like some of the first red flags? And you can start the screen share at any time if you want to hop back and roast some old videos. Not to throw you into the fire, Adam, but
yeah, no. Can I actually, just before Samu shares
yeah,
a screen, I think it's useful to describe my journey with YouTube, because I think it will probably be similar to a lot of other people's journey with YouTube. So my journey with YouTube was, we were doing this show, and this dude that I know named Alaric Heck, who's a YouTube ads guy, was talking to me about YouTube, and he's like, dude, if you're recording that show, you should just like start putting the episodes up on YouTube just to start getting content up there. Then I was like, I want a YouTube agency to like help me edit this. So then we worked with one guy for a while, and it was not really getting any traction, as you can see if we scroll down this page that Samu's sharing. And then this guy had this idea for Pete and I to start another YouTube show. So like a whole different line of intellectual property. But he couldn't really give much guidance on it, other than Pete should interview Adam about B2B topics to make Adam seem like the expert and give more credibility to these videos that you're making already. Right. That was an enormous task. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to do it. So like, and we're jumping back to Samu here, who's literally writing scripts for me. Right. So like, so meanwhile, I saw this guy, and I'm sorry if you're in the audience, I forget your name, but a guy on LinkedIn made an incredible breakdown of Finn Thormier's YouTube videos. And the summary was, the hooks are not good. It's not opening up a curiosity loop, and it doesn't look like a YouTube video. So I'm like, cool. I reached out to the guy, talked to him about whether he wanted to take over this editing thing for this show that you're watching right now, which was going to constitute the majority of my channel. Then Sam reached out to me, breaking B2B, who does our SEO. And he's like, dude, you should talk to this guy, Samu. And this was coincidentally at the exact moment that I had reached out to this other YouTube agency. And Samu was like, what are your goals for YouTube? I'm like, I would not be doing anything that I'm doing if it was not to generate leads for my business. I understand that it's like very high top of funnel, and that, like YouTube is not as direct as LinkedIn, but I don't want to be fully concentrated on LinkedIn. I want to expand the founder brand because I'm spending so much time on it anyway. I mean, it's down to like 1 day a week now, but like still. And then, and he's like, what's your plan? And I told him what the plan was. And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. That type of show is not going to generate leads for you on YouTube. You should make a YouTube channel like Instantly's YouTube channel, or like HubSpot Marketing's YouTube channel. It should be 70% tangential topics to your core competency, and 30% shameless VSL sales letters for RB2B. And they should be YouTube videos. They should not be interview style shows. If you want to keep doing that interview style show, that's great. Make it its own YouTube channel, because it will only detract from this attention. And by the way, I'll write the fucking scripts for you. And in the Gamma presentation, he sent me a script, and he's like, if you want to record this, I'll post it on your channel. I'll have it done by the end of the week. I was like, I've never heard a pitch like this in my life. And that's where my journey started. And there is I'll let Samu take over at this point, but you can see when Samu started writing scripts for me and what happened after that. So that was a longer than I was planning on spending talking about this, but I think I'm sure some people in the audience could probably relate to that YouTube journey, which is why I wanted to share it.
Yeah, very, very well said. And that's like something I just see just so many times across like B2B companies is that, yeah, one of the most common things is they just upload random podcast episodes and really like YouTube videos that are not actually YouTube videos, as Adam said, that they're not optimized for YouTube. Because when it comes to YouTube, there's so many components of it, starting with the strategy, just thinking about what the video will be about, to then the structuring, the scripting, what you actually talk about in the video, how you deliver the value, to then like the editing part, all of that stuff. So it's like a lot of steps. And what I found is like most companies have no idea how to like actually nail these steps. So what they end up doing is they usually assign it to a marketing person who handles the YouTube stuff, and then they just like upload videos that are videos but not actually optimized for YouTube. Or they do something like you guys did before, where it was like, okay, we had that show, we were like recording it every week, and then we just like post it up on YouTube. It's some like polishing, but that's it. So yeah, to answer like Pete's question of like what were the kind of the main red flags when I was first like checking out the channel, like of course when you look at like right away, you can see like the thumbnails are all the same. They're like not really YouTube optimized, like super small text, no idea what the video is actually about. The titles are all over the place. But then if you look at the actual results, obviously like a couple hundred views with an audience of hundreds of thousands of people that Adam has across like all of his channels, it's pretty like obvious that these are not the numbers that he should be doing on a channel like YouTube. And that just like right away made like kind of the switch going on my brain of like, okay, this is like a huge opportunity. And if you like actually tackle it the right way, then there's something very big to be made here. And that's like what we started out with. So like as Adam said, we just right away started with this video, which was like a very specific sort of like VSL video that we scripted out already for him, that we just like produced. And after that, we just kept on with the strategy. So as Adam said, like this was the main thing, is 70% really like YouTube optimized content that is like appealing to the ICP's desires, the ICP's pain points, and just really packaging those in a way where it actually works on YouTube. So there's a specific framework we always follow to make sure that videos are packaged in a way that actually works on YouTube. There's a lot that goes into how we structure the titles, how we structure the thumbnails, but a good sort of rule of thumb is that you always want to look at what's already working. That's like the easiest way to scale on YouTube. So that's the biggest part of our strategy, is just looking at the data that's already out there on YouTube. And by following this strategy of 70% YouTube optimized content and then 30% more like shameless plugs promoting the actual tools, following the strategy, that's how we started scaling. Yeah, I guess everyone can check out the channel and like how the views have been since. But yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride and a really good journey.
Yeah, I want to, so like trying to go through the journey here, right? So we talked about kind of some red flags. The scripting part to me is, I mean, it's like the scripting, the editing, the hooks, the thumbnails, kind of like, I mean, there's more than that, but like some pretty key pillars. In my eyes, though, you're not gonna, like, if you have a great thumbnail and a great hook, but the script is bad, even if the editing's good, like the video's still not going to take off. So why don't we start with the scripting, because that's so much meat and potatoes for what actually takes off. So I guess, if we want to go through maybe something that you guys are scripting right now, or even a recent video, I guess take us through kind of your process for how you identify subjects to write a script about, and then what the structure of that script is. Like, how are you making sure that it's fit for YouTube and ultimately is going to be something that can gain traction, or at least has a high probability of gaining traction?
Yeah, for sure. So the start of everything is, yeah, as you said, coming up with the actual ideas of what we'll make the videos about. How we do that is right away, like first off, here is just really looking at what's already working on YouTube. As I said, like this is a very important part of it. But before that, what we really do is just go very deep, like doing customer research, going very deep into who we want to actually attract, what are their main pain points and what are their main desires. And that will give us a list of actual video ideas that we can have. But then it's very important that like all of these videos will be packaged in a way that actually works on YouTube. And that's where the competitor research comes in, of looking at the best performing outlier videos of other channels on YouTube in similar niches. In the B2B space, obviously, there's a lot of like different sub niches. So we look at all of them, the best performing videos, recent outliers, and see, okay, how they package the videos. And this is, for example, the strategy that we use with Adam's like two recent like outlier videos that we did, 20K, one of them, over 30K, the other one, is exactly this, was just looking at other outlier videos and really seeing the format. So that's how we come up with the initial set of ideas. I can share my screen and just quickly show you kind of the running doc that we have with Adam. Let me change it.
I just shared it in the chat too, by the way, for all you following from home. And unlike how I work with Alec, who's my LinkedIn consultant, Samu and I don't have a regular weekly call. We literally just do it async in Slack based on this ideas doc that we both contribute to.
Exactly. So yeah,
Which is wild. It's like, and the cadence is basically like, we have this running ideas doc. Someone's like, I think these should be the next 2 videos. Do you have any other supporting content? So I'll either put more posts in there for the script writing, or I will send him a voice note back in Slack for them to like use it. And I think one of the things that this is just like a beautiful manifestation of like being able to like use AI and stuff I've already written to like nail my voice, get a format for it that like works for me in a teleprompter, works for YouTube. And then I go through this script, I put it into a PowerPoint presentation to where I can flip the text. And then I like to use bullets. I put it on a teleprompter, I go into Riverside, I record it, I send these guys the link, they do everything else. It's magical. And several other people that I have referred to Samu have echoed that this is like the most fluid process they've ever had working with an agency on anything. So yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's really our goal, is to make it as low effort as possible for our clients, as low as a lift as possible for it to be. So yeah, that's we don't like to have these like regular calls, because we just like, we can do it without it. So really what we do is, yeah, as you guys can see on the screen or in the document, like we have a running doc of the actual ideas, and then we have just a bunch of like resources from Adam, like all of his LinkedIn posts, all of the YouTube podcast that he was on as a guest, all of the previous YouTube videos we've made, all of the newsletters he wrote. And then for all of these like ideas, for most of them, we already have like a basic set of like actual resource that we can use for the scripting, that we can include as content. But then for each of the videos, I send it to Adam for like review. And I also ask him like, okay, do you have like any specific like content in mind that you maybe, recently did that we could use for that? Or if not, could you record like just a 5-minute voice note, just word vomiting about the topic, to make sure it's like super low lift, super easy, but we nail the voice and we nail the actual content, because that's like number one, as Pete said, like we need to actually make the video fully valuable and the content really, really good in order to make the videos bang. So that's a big part of it. So yeah, that's how we run this. And once we come up with the actual list of ideas, we do this like on a weekly or monthly cadence of coming up with the new ideas and getting the resources for that. Once we have that.
Oh no, froze again. So while we're waiting for him to reconnect, Adam, I actually have a question. I guess you could also answer. So like, we've talked on recent episodes with creators about sort of like lining, whether it's LinkedIn posts, X posts, YouTube, like thematically lining them up. How are you guys thinking about that? So your main content sources right now, or mediums, are, you have the newsletter that goes out through Beehive, you have LinkedIn, and now you have YouTube. So like, thematically, I guess if we're thinking chronologically, how close are these ideas to each other? Let's say you're sending out some posts this week, you're sending out a newsletter, and then an email, or a YouTube video. Is there a common theme amongst some of those, or is it more just making great content regardless of the medium that you think will be great, and it's kind of independent of whatever's happening on the other platforms?
Okay, so 12 months ago it was all LinkedIn, right? And then Dave Gerhardt was like, I think YouTube's next for you. And that's what started this journey. What Samu is very good at is looking at the library of LinkedIn posts and saying, this will work well for YouTube, right? And then also what we said before is like looking at like, what's Hormozy's banger post that went super viral this week? Okay, instead of like 9 ways to do X with Hormozy, it's like 9 ways to do X, bootstrapping a SaaS or AI company, right? So Aronoff, by the way, the guy we had 2 weeks ago, Aronoff, check that, Josh Aronoff, check that YouTube video out. This guy is so much better at what I'm about to, he starts with YouTube and then he makes content on every other platform for the next week, constantly based off that YouTube video and a core visual asset like an infographic or something. I'm not actually doing that. The extent to which my stuff is related is basically all of my YouTube is pulling from a series of old LinkedIn posts, right? Like not just one LinkedIn post. It's usually like, if you look at that ideas doc, it's like a lot of different LinkedIn posts go into one YouTube video. And then my LinkedIn, I'm trying to figure out what the next chapter of LinkedIn is for me. Like I had a very short post do really well last week, and it was like a rant. It was like me bitching about how like people, founders give me a hard time for running my business to make money, and they act like it's some lowbrow pursuit, right? So I'm trying to like figure out if that's like the next version of LinkedIn for me, now that like everyone's kind of writing LinkedIn posts like in the same way. And then I actually started working with this Twitter guy called Wizard of Ecom, and I'm letting them do their thing, which is like different and unrelated from what's happening in YouTube and what's happening on LinkedIn. But I've noticed the stuff that works for me on Twitter is this type of like founder journey, deeply emotional, thing, right? So like when I write LinkedIn posts like this, I'll send it over to those guys. And the Twitter guys are also really good at like sniping. It's like something gets 1 million impressions. If I can comment on it, then it'll get me 30,000 impressions, for example. So, and then all the newsletter is now is Alec taking my best performing post from the week prior and sending it out in a newsletter. That's my whole content motion. It's not optimized. Oh yeah, and we're sitting here doing this, which we promote only on a LinkedIn post right now, but I think we want to give this its own newsletter so that we can actually promote it over email too, because I think that like doubles the audience. I mean, from when we were doing, I was worried about burning my own personal newsletter because I was promoting this, I was promoting YouTube, and I was promoting, and I was sending LinkedIn posts out, and I was subscribing everybody that signed up for the RB2B free plan. So like a lot of people were just like, how the fuck did I get on this newsletter? And what is it all about? Right. Like, and open rates were going down or whatever else. So yeah, it's a lot of balls in the air. And it could probably be a bit more strategically put together, but like my priority is not this. It's like growing RB2B and reinventing retention.com. So I give this 1 day a week, and it's sort of as good as it can be, given that.
Totally. And I think the outsourcing is huge too. I also just think it's like, I talk to a lot of founders who will be very obsessed with trying to have things dialed in before they even start. And I think the approach that you're like vocal about, and like, we talk about all the time the ways that we're, leveling up the show and ways we're thinking about it. And it's like, just start and then dial it in. Otherwise you're going to be waiting. And that's just reality. So I want to get into some scripting a little more. I know there's also a script doc. If we're okay jumping into that one, the script 18, that I know it was shared in here. I think you had a tab up, Samu. So and let's also, there was a good question in the chat too, like where do I begin if I don't have a LinkedIn library to call upon? Which is a great question, because a lot of people, maybe YouTube is the place they want to dive in, or the video. So I want to kind of talk about this a little bit from the lens of somebody who might not have the luxury of a giant library. And the great thing with a LinkedIn library too, if you have one, you can see what resonated with people, what didn't, what got engagement. It like helps you vet out your ideas before you take a much bigger investment, which is video, compared to like writing. So let's go through this script. I would love to hear kind of I guess how both of you think about this, and let's kind of go through it.
Yeah, for sure. So to address the first question, usually for most companies, like it doesn't necessarily has to be like a LinkedIn sort of library. For most companies, they either have internal Loom videos, the founder did some podcasts, they had like multiple blog posts they've written, like something like that. And we have like all sorts of different clients where we made like different resources work for scripting. So usually like I would say like 80-90% of cases or companies we start working with, they have some sort of content that we can use. And on these like rare edge cases where there's like not like literally like no content out there that we could use, the best way we found is just like voice notes at the beginning. And then usually after a couple of voice notes, we just build up like a library of knowledge that we can use. So that's kind of the strategy we go with that. But yeah, in terms of the scripting, yeah, with the hook, what's really important with B2B especially is to keep it short and just like to the point, just really like mentioning like first of all authority. So like with all of Adam's videos, like just saying the authority that he has, or like the multiple SaaS companies that he bootstrapped, the amount of revenue that he hit, etc., is just like something that we want to quickly give away. Hormozy does the same as well. It's like a must-have in your niche. You want to give proof authority in the first 30 seconds, which is basically the hook of explaining actually why people should listen to you. Otherwise, it won't work. Apart from that, just really explaining what people can expect from the video and the value they will get out of it. So either speaking to their pain points or their desires, so they actually keep watching. That's the other pillar of it. And that's really all you need with the hook. You definitely don't want to like over strategy it. So because, after that, just people just click away. So it's best to just make it concise as much as possible. And after that, just getting into the body. As I said, for most of our clients, for Adam included, we do a bullet pointed version. For some of our clients, we do like fully word for word if they prefer that. But really the main key thing here is to like structure it in an easy to understand and logical way, while also making sure that you deliver as much value as possible. That's really the name of the game right now on YouTube, is just trying to be the most valuable person in your space, and that's how you win. Obviously handling and nailing all other parts of YouTube, but like the core will always be our content of how valuable it is. And that's how we structure that. We always like to include a specific call to action for the actual product that we're promoting inside the first 33% of the video, more or less. And that's how we found just the conversion to be the highest, including a small call to action, just calling out the tool or the software or whatever you made the call to action for, and then just delivering on the video. And then in the outro, we just make a more direct, a bit longer call to action for the exact same thing as well, and just really trying to close up and wrap up the video as fast as possible. Also, we don't want to make this too long, because people will just click away. YouTube doesn't really like it, so we want to just wrap it up as fast as possible. So that's in a nutshell like how we structure most of the YouTube videos that we always script.
I want to call something out, because this is something that I think a lot of people struggle with when they begin creating. So the first thing you mentioned was authority. If you go to, like you said, the Hormozys or anyone else, they're kind of calling out their expertise repetitively. I think a lot of people get uncomfortable with that because it feels braggy, it feels a little douchey, whatever word you want to insert there. But without that, if I'm looking, actually, if you could scroll up, Samu, to the hook section, a lot of this is, not just, I've been building SaaS companies for 11 years now, but really telling the whole journey, saying that I bootstrapped retention to over 25 million ARR with a small team, like that. If we're in the vacuum of our own brains and trying to not be braggy and really worrying about what the negatives could be, and we decided not to go in that direction, now we're trying to put out content that we have no authority to be speaking on, or no public authority, because we're not giving away our credentials. And I just think this is a thing that we feel so much stronger internally than the viewers do, in terms of authority coming off as braggy. Do you start every video with some type of authority in the hook of this is why, here's what I'm going to talk about, but first, this is why I am, sort of qualified to be talking about it. Here's why you should listen to me.
100%. So I can't think of a video where we haven't included some way, an authority statement like this. Obviously, it depends on the niche. So for some niches, you don't necessarily have to brag about how much money you made or what's your revenue, etc. But at least they're just proving the point that you're someone that is worth to really listen to, because you have to think about people don't know you. Even if you think that people know you, they really don't. Most of the people that will see the video will probably be new people, cold audience, or even someone that might know your name, but they don't know your life story. This is just you in your head. It's people don't actually know you that much. So it's really just they're seeing a stranger, and until you not proving that to them that you're someone who's actually worthy of listening to, and someone who's an expert at this topic or knows what he's talking about, they just won't bother keep watching the video and just listening, because they don't have that trust. Whereas if you just mention that, by, let's say, if you're in the event planning space and you just mention that, oh, by the way, in the last 5 years I've helped 1,000 events scale their attendees, or actually plan 1,000 events, just mentioning quick stuff like that, it just right away raises the trust in the viewer, and just says okay, this is a guy that I can trust. He will spit some value, so I'm better sticking around than just actually listening to this guy, because he knows what he's talking about. So again, you don't have to necessarily brag about things. There are certain niches where calling out revenue and stuff like that works, in the SaaS space, calling out their ARR works just very well. But in other space is just perfectly enough if you just mention your authority. But you do want to mention it, like you shouldn't skip it out.
That's awesome. There's some good chatter going on. I think this is like worth addressing. So in the chat, good chatter about like teleprompters. And I think this just kind of goes into or leads itself into more like setup, right? Like camera, microphone, lights, background, teleprompter so that you have eye contact. If you're just starting out, of course, like going all in on studio equipment is going to quickly get expensive. So like, I guess my question is, what are some kind of no-brainer essentials, especially like cost-efficient ones? I mean, microphones aren't all that expensive these days, that you look for or even recommend to clients that you start working with?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a specific list that we always send our clients that had like the equipment recommendations based on your budget, etc. But to just like boil it down, the good news nowadays is that you don't need like a $10,000 studio to actually make YouTube work. You don't need to like spend that much money. The three things that you want to nail with video content is, first of all, the sound. So that's the number one. If your sound is shit, like that's not gonna work with YouTube. That will be unbearable. So that's number one you want to fix. Luckily, like $100 mic is like already very good. Even a $50 like random mic, if you just like attach it the right way, like it's the right quality. We recommend the DJI wireless mics, but again, there's just a lot on the market. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a quality mic. Apart from that, the second thing is the lighting. So just having the right lighting is also very important. You preferably want it to come from the front, so like the same angle as the camera is. And for that, the best is natural light, and that's the easiest. So most people just have that like a window or something like this. But apart from that, if you want to spend a little bit of money on that, you can also just buy a lamp or an actual softbox that you can just put in front of you. These cost like a couple $100, so like that's it. But again, you can do it with natural light. And then the third one is the actual quality of the footage. So like what camera you use. The good news is that like modern iPhones just have like basically the same quality as like cameras, which is crazy. Like most people can't tell the difference. So many of my clients actually record with their iPhone. It works very well. But if you want to like actually buy a camera, you can do it. The one that I always recommend is a Sony ZV-E10. That's just the best like camera that's on the market right now. I think it's $800 or something, but it's like yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
That's
you can pop it onto a tripod, nice and easy. It's
very simple, very simple. But again, like if you don't like, if you have like no money to spend on that, like you can actually just use your iPhone, and with that you're like done. Like you don't need to necessarily spend anything like else on equipment. You're like done with this. If you have like some additional money to spend, you can buy like a nice tripod. You can buy a cam link where you can use it to like attach it to your computer, so you can use it as a webcam, etc. But like that's it, and this can literally cost like a couple hundred to like 1 to 1.5K. So it's not like a big investment.
Yeah, I dropped my list in there. I had money to spend. So where that came from, that was pre me recording content. I was just so interested. It was during COVID, and I was so interested in the fact that everyone was on Zoom calls all day long, all of a sudden, and nobody was looking each other in the eye. Right now, I'm on my laptop and I'm like looking down at the Zoom lens, and the camera's looking at my forehead, right? And I was like watching YouTube videos. I'm like, I want to be the one guy in the world who's looking people in the eye on Zoom calls. Cause like, how much better is that going to be? So my original effort in creating this situation that I have, which by the way, it's slightly different now. I use an iPad instead of that monitor, and I use different lights and like, but it's inconsequential. But my motivation was just looking people in the eye on Zoom calls. And what that setup does is it would have Samu's face. If I were in my office, it would be doing this. It would have Samu's face flashing, his eyes directly in front of the camera lens, which I thought was so cool. And every once in a while, I'm on Zoom calls and people are like, how are you looking me in the eye like that? And I'm like, oh, I got you, dude. I'll like send you the list or whatever. But as Samu said, this is not necessary to get started. It's overkill. You don't need any of it. You can do it on your iPhone, and iPhones even have teleprompter apps. Like it's just, yeah. Everybody loves the gear talk though. So and by the way, if you don't have internet and your setup's in your office, none of the gear does any good. So here I am on my laptop in a bedroom, with this cloudy sort of like look or whatever.
Well, hey, that's all coming. New office does look good though. Got that wood background.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, so we've covered equipment, covered scripting, repurposing that stuff. I want to get into kind of what compels people to even click the video in the first place, right? So if you're in that sidebar, right, you're getting recommended or whatever, you're scrolling through a YouTube search. What are the components that make somebody of a title, a hook, a thumbnail that compels someone to click? Because ultimately you could have great content, but if no one's clicking it, what good is it? Giving a little quote from our guy Jonathan in the chat here. So maybe we look through like some before and after hooks on the channel. And you can feel free to roast some of the old ones from Unfuck My Startup. I made those. I'm not a YouTube guy, guys. That's not my thing. So that's totally okay. It was just I was a placeholder function here. But let's kind of get into that. I always love to quoting like not quoting, but referring people to Mr. Beast. Like if you want to see somebody hook you into a video, I mean, this is the most extreme example in the world, but look at his hooks. Look at the first 10 seconds of each video. You'll quickly get the idea of what it means to have a world-class, kind of compelling, real somebody in stuff. I'll let you take it away, Samu.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I could talk about these like previous ones a lot, but like I think like everyone can see that like first of all like the text is super small, like you can barely read it. It's all the same. There's no real like visual effect of people just looking at it and like right away getting what the video is about and getting that idea, that key concept. Whereas with the new ones, the ones that we create, it's always just looking at the video and right away with that visual aspect is very clear like what the video will be about. You can look at all of these and like right away at first glance you will see exactly what the topic of the video is, and you have the expectations of what this video could be. And this is how the brain works: is first it looks at the picture because it's just easier to process, and then it reads the title. So that's how I always want to think about packaging YouTube videos, is that first people will like see the thumbnail, and if it catches their eyes and it gives them an idea of what the video is about, and they think that okay, that this might be relevant for me, that's the time where they actually give a chance to the title and actually read the title. If you fail at that, like your title doesn't really matter. So that's why it's very important to kind of pair the two and make it work very well and complement each other with the thumbnail and with the title. So like give you some great examples. This one is one of the best performing videos that we had on the channel. This SaaS is about to change in 2026 and nobody even realizes. So number one, the most important thing here is that we did obviously like competitor research and figured out like this exact title and thumbnail format with like together worked very, very well for other channels in the B2B space and has been the cause of some of their biggest outlier videos. So we definitely want to adapt that and make it our own version. And that's what we did. And that's the reason why it just performed so well. Like the execution was like perfect because what we did is really just including those like company logos, if you see in the on the thumbnail, that are like big in the SaaS space, obviously our B2B, just to make sure that it's Adam's actual video, but then including ChatGPT, including Clay, like some of the biggest like hyped companies in the space, and really just showing that like we are here. This is what was before the big hyped companies, and we are here, and this just like this line creates curiosity of like, okay, what is this, like what's happening with the whole industry? And it's just a very clear like visual thing. Like people can look at it and just like right away at the first second know like what this video will be about, and then after they read the title, it's like super clear, and they just have no other like choices but to click on it. So that's what they do, and that's why this video performed so well. And yeah, I can obviously like go through all the other ones, but the key thing with all of this is really just making sure that the thumbnail is easy to understand, people right away get what the video is about, and then the title also complements that. And apart from that, like a really big thing will be the actual concept of the video, and just seeing like, are people actually interested in that topic? So that's when the keyword research comes in before like we plan out the YouTube video. So that's a big part of it, is just mainly searching up manually YouTube and just looking through, okay, what keywords and topics have the highest search volume and the highest demand. How we do that is we actually look at the number of views for the top performing and suggestion videos on YouTube for that like search term when we search it up. Then we look at the specific channels for those videos that come up and see what are their best performing videos. And with that like whole manual research, we get a very good idea of like, okay, what what are the topics that just have the highest search volume and the highest demand. And yeah, in Adam's case, is like this is scaling a SaaS. If I studied a SaaS marketing strategy, how to grow on LinkedIn, like all of these stuff were the ones that just had the highest demand, and that's how we like what we base the strategy around. So yeah, this is it in a nutshell.
On LinkedIn, we talk a lot about hooks. Like a good hook has numbers in it. Is that the same on YouTube too? I see all these titles, even if it's just a year, there's some number in there, like how I used ABM to scale to 13 million ARR in 36 months. Everyone can see the rest of these. What's the sort of the philosophy behind that?
Oh yeah, definitely. So specificity is something that is just huge in titles as well, and in like all like marketing basically. So yeah, as you said, like on LinkedIn as well, like with hooks, it's just very good to call out specific numbers. It catches people's eyes, makes it more believable as well. Especially if they are like more specific numbers, like some of these that where we include like very specific numbers and key numbers. Instead of just rounding them up, like that's a good trick as well. But yeah, as you said, it's just very important to include numbers because that just makes it more tangible, more believable for people, and also catches people's eyes a lot more.
I also see like each pretty much all of these hooks, and this is like purely observation, have some sort of pretty jarring word in there. Like cold email is dead. Dead's a jarring word. The brutal reality. SaaS is about to change in 2026. Nobody even realizes that kind of parentheses is pretty compelling. This weird growth strategy scaled quite at 3.1 billion. There's just this like element of feeling compelled to know what that weird thing, that brutal thing, why is this thing dead? Making these really bold claims in a short amount of words and then backing it up with some sort of numbers. Is there some intentionality behind like trying to have one, it's almost like gut punching word or phrase within the title?
Yeah, for most of it, yeah. So there's a little bit of a difference because YouTube has like different places where it will recommend the video to. So one big one is the actual YouTube search. So people search up different terms, and then there's a suggested tab of like, okay, what YouTube actually suggests for those specific keywords and what people search for. But then there's also the home tab where when you open YouTube, like there's a list of videos that you see. Also the recommended videos, like next to video that you're watching, there's a list of like recommended videos. And there's a different way to kind of target each of these. And we always have to know like with what are we targeting with each of the videos, like which one of these. So for YouTube search, these sorts of like not buzzwords, but like these sort of like hype keywords, these ones don't really work for YouTube search. So like, for example, this one, the best SaaS marketing strategy, I can quickly like hover over to the analytics of that. Wait. Yeah, this one. So like this is the analytics of that, like the best SaaS marketing strategies for 2026. This doesn't really have like a word, okay, like best, but it's not like a dead or like a weird or something like that. And you can see like on the site here that like YouTube search is the main driver of this video. And it's been like an evergreen sort of video just going up like this in views. It ranked very well in the search tab. And actually people listening, searching for best SaaS marketing strategies are getting recommended this video and actually watching it. And it's just going up like this. So for that, the goal with this one was actually to rank on search. And we knew that like the main way we'll get value from this video is if we are able to rank it on search. So that's why we structured the title this way. But if we look at another video, like for example, SaaS is about to change in 2026. I think I have that pulled up. Here as well. You can see like browse features, which is actually like the other ones that I mentioned of like the home tab and the recommended section. That's where most of the traffic is coming from. And for that, like we just had a completely different strategy for the title. So there's a bit more depth going into it, depending on like where you want it to rank and get traffic from, which you have to know beforehand. That's why all the planning comes in, and that's why it's so important. But yeah, to answer your question, for many of the titles, it's an important part to kind of use these words.
Can I ask a question that was from the audience? What is the shorts strategy and why?
The YouTube Shorts?
Yeah, what is our YouTube Shorts strategy and why is it what it is?
Yeah, so in terms of YouTube Shorts, we're not creating YouTube Shorts on this channel. And the reason for that is to be like transparent. For some of our clients, we create short form content. So I wouldn't say that it doesn't work. But what we've seen in the B2B space is that short form content very rarely leads to actual results in terms of leads, in terms of shortened sales cycles, in terms of actual revenue. Just because of the fact that it's short form, it's most of the buyers are not scrolling YouTube Shorts, are not scrolling Instagram Reels or TikTok. Most of the buyers are searching up Google, looking at YouTube, on LinkedIn, etc. So like for the B2B avatar, most of the time, you're just a lot better off like spending your efforts, your resources, your time on actual long form content where your buyers are actually are. Now, having said that, obviously there will be niches where short form works well, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, especially if you already create content. Like repurposing it into short form content works. But another thing, and that's the main reason like why we don't do this on this YouTube channel, is that usually like people who are watching shorts are very different from people that are watching long form. So people have that belief, like this false belief that they will create shorts, they will get eyeballs, engagement, and then they will turn it into long form views and long form audiences. But that doesn't really work because people that are scrolling usually don't watch, they don't have the attention span to watch a long form. And people who are watching long form usually don't really have the habit of watching short form. Obviously, there are exceptions, but that's kind of what we've seen. And because of that, you can't really make that switch. So what will happen is that you create a bunch of short form, you get a bunch of eyeballs, but then those people subscribe to your channel. And when you try to create long form content, YouTube will try to push it to those people, but like it like they won't like bite or they won't like watch it because they're not just interested. They subscribe because of the shorts. That's what they want to see more of. And because of that, like the longs won't work as well. It would just tank the views and overall to fuck up the channel. So what we found works very well. If you want to push shorts, create a new channel for it. If you like want to seriously push it, and that can still work, and you can see like experiment, okay, how's the conversion from that channel, what are the results, but don't do it on your main channel if you want to like really push shorts. Now if you're just pushing out like a couple shorts, that won't like mess up your channel or anything, but like if you want to really like push shorts, then try it first on a different channel.
That's something we're going to experiment with for this show and this channel specifically. And I think you brought up some really good points that like when it comes to like this show, we're not quite worried about. Like we're not as worried about driving revenue directly from the show. We're really trying to like just build audience and deliver valuable shows. And
very importantly, people ask for recordings of the show all the time. So like one of the primary purposes of our show's YouTube channel is for the 5 DMs a week that I get that are like, did you record that Samu episode? Can I, whatever. Yeah. And usually I'm like, it'll be up in 2 days. I send them the link and I'm like, subscribe if you don't want to miss it. So, and it's a great purpose for it, because like that person will probably watch the whole episode and that one view is valuable,
And for the philosophy behind the shorts is like, okay, I think the best way to view this show is live. I think the recording's still great. But I think when you're live and you can ask questions and like interact with the audience and interact with us, it's just like I think it's a great session. The shorts, at least the philosophy that Sam and I talked about last week was like, can some of these shows, or at least some of the key takeaways, be distilled down into a minute or two? That way, maybe they get a little bit more views, they can add subscribers to that channel and ultimately drive people to discover the show. And hopefully, I know this, it really would be to boost live attendees and just get more awareness around the show. We're going to experiment with it. Who knows if it'll work or not? I mean, most experiments fail, so I'm not to be pessimistic about what we're embarking on, but that's just the reality of all experiments. But yeah, we are going to try it out on the show. I mean, we'll keep you guys posted too. Like look, we're just trying to throw stuff out and see what works, because I think everybody is. Okay. I'm trying to see what we haven't covered that is like critically important to wrap this show with. I'll spit out a few topics and maybe you guys tell me which one we want to jump into for the last 8 minutes here. We talked a little bit about trend chasing from other creators. I know we talked a little bit about our runway. I guess, what are some common maybe this is a good place to go to. What are some common pitfalls you see, some of the people who go? I know we talked about red flags kind of from Adam's, or from the initial YouTube channel, but like when someone goes out to start a new YouTube channel, what are some common pitfalls that you see, whether that is not trying for long enough, not experimenting with content? I mean, what's sort of the things for everyone to look out for as they embark on their journey?
Yeah, good question. So the first one is I would say when people start a YouTube channel, they think that, okay, I will need help in the editing process. So they try to find an editor or like an editor agency, whatever, but they don't think about all the other stuff. And as I explained, like in this, sort of session, is that like there's a lot that goes into it, and like editing is just the cherry on top. Like it's something that matters, but it's not something that will determine your results. It's the strategy, is the content, is the value. So that's one of the mistakes, is that people just start and they try to like just do everything themselves and just maybe outsource the editing part, whatever. But that's not really the right way to go about it. I've yet to see someone make YouTube work without either an in-house YouTube team, or someone on their team that is like fully specialized on YouTube, or actually working with an agency. And the reason for that is that, there's just so many moving parts. If you're not like a YouTube specialist, or you don't have someone that is like fully in, like knows every part of YouTube, you just won't make it. Like it's just too complex for that. It's not an easy platform. Like it's definitely not an easy platform. So that's number one. Number two, many people just start with the thought and the mindset, and that they just want to create as many videos as possible and just see what works and just throw stuff at the wall. But we found that on YouTube, like quality over quantity is really where it's at. Like just quantity by itself, the programmatic approach just doesn't work on YouTube. What YouTube likes is, the sweet spot is 4 videos per month, 4 to 8 videos per month at maximum, which is what we found works best. More than that is really like something that just YouTube doesn't like. It's when you're spamming videos, first you won't be able to nail the strategy and the research before each of them, because you just physically like won't have the time or resources most of the time. And also you're not able to just like go all out and create like very good, very dense, very high value videos. Whereas if you just actually sit down and have all your resources, or your team or your agency or whoever you work with focus on, let's say, 1 video per week, that's like the best starting point that we found, because then you can go all in on that, really just make sure the plan is right, the strategy is right, you're putting the most value into those videos. And that's what we found is just the fastest way to scale, is just start with 4 videos per month and scale from there. So not the quantity approach, not just trying to put out as many videos as possible and hopefully like something will work, because that just leads to nowhere and usually just tanks channels. So that's like two that I could think of right now. But yeah, I think these two are big ones for sure.
Yeah, I like this. Try to make great content. Just in try to. I mean, I remember seeing a. I'm gonna leave it here, but like I remember seeing a interview with somebody who's a musician, and somebody was like, "What's the best? Like, I'm writing songs. Like, what's the best way to promote? Like, what is the thing that's going to make my song take off? Like, what is the best way to promote it?" And they're like, "A great song. That's like a great piece of content will give you more, even if you don't know anything else about getting things out there. Like, create a great piece of content with a compelling hook. Just focus on making something great, and that is going to give you the best chance for success." I also think too, when you go like quantity over quality, it's like, okay, maybe you get every 1 in 6 is like a hitter, right? But like now you have these other 5 diluting it down. Now your audience has to like search through a bunch of nonsense to find something that's actually valuable. So I see why it gets devalued by the algorithm, because like it's not a fun way as a viewer to try to find helpful content.
Exactly.
Can I say one more thing about there? A couple questions about attribution. How many leads is this driving? Right. So, Samu, this is the way I'm thinking about it, and I haven't even talked to you about this yet. But I had it said to me, so like I think that the YouTube audience that I have is probably earlier stage in their journey than the LinkedIn audience that I have, and therefore the click-through attribution to paid customer doesn't look great. I'm so long game oriented with my content that I'm doing this so that like these people who become fans on YouTube get to LinkedIn at some point, and by the time they do, they're like super fans. You know what I mean? So, but I guess for RB2B, if I had a boss that was like, show me the hard dollars that are coming off this YouTube effort, I couldn't really defend it. I couldn't defend Twitter either. I don't have click-through attribution for LinkedIn either. But like, if I'm thinking about it's like I do think my founder brand content is higher leverage relative to any of my competition than anything else that I'm doing. So it's like it's just a way for me to expand it, right? Like and if I were spending a day a week on YouTube, I would probably say it's not worth it, right? But like for the hour a week that I am spending on it, the fact that there are these free signups, it's showing me that people are, it is working to some extent. And then, years down the road with these people that are watching these YouTube videos and learning from them, like they will be paying customers of whatever I'm selling, right? Which by the way, in a few years is going to be very different than what it is today. So that's, everybody wants like hard click-through attribution on everything that they do. It sucks, but I just don't think you can take that approach with founder content. It's hard. It's just hard in that regard.
Well, Samu, thanks for joining. Where can people find you? I'm sure there's a bunch of people who are eager to reach out to you. I'm going to drop your LinkedIn, of course, right in the chat right now. Anywhere else to follow along on I guess Adam's YouTube channel to see your great work? Anywhere else?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The main one is LinkedIn. That's where I'm the most active. Also, I have a YouTube channel as well, which anyone is able to find from my LinkedIn as well. And I have a website that we're currently rebranding. But in case anyone is like interested in how this would work specifically for their business, they can always book a time to chat with me on my website. I have that link in my LinkedIn bio as well, so people should be able to find it easily. But yeah, I'm trying to post as much as I can on LinkedIn. So that's the main. I would say.
Just so you don't waste your time or anybody else's, what's the approximate budget somebody needs to have to sort of make this happen?
Yeah, for sure. So most of our packages range between like $1.5K to $6,000 per month, depending on what they need exactly, how many videos, what deliverables, etc. But that's sort of the price range that we operate in.
Great. Awesome, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. It's a joy working with you. I hope that you land some clients from this. Has anybody heard of Hunter.io? Because that is next week's guest, the CEO of Hunter.io. Yes, Ashley's heard of Hunter.
I think we've all hunted. I think a lot of us have hunted with Hunter. So it's going to be another outreach episode, folks. They usually get outreach that's the theme that gets the most viewers here and makes for great episodes. So tune in next week. We'll throw out some details coming soon. And this recording will be live later in the week, edited by Samu himself. So
awesome. Samu, thanks so much for sharing everything. I think everybody got a lot of value out of it. And we'll see you next week.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate it, everyone. Cheers. Bye.